Good evening and welcome to the TRHT Selma Candidate Forum. We're delighted that you've chosen to join us for the Candidate Forum 2022. My name is Lydia Chapman and I serve as the director for TRHT Selma. TRHT stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. In Selma, this initiative exists as a partnership between the Selma Center for Nonviolence and the Black Belt Community Foundation. Tonight's presentation is an opportunity for you, the voter, to hear from candidates in two races, District Attorney and for Circuit 4 and the Dallas County Sheriff. Now, this session, we'll hear from candidate Donald Shepard. As a part of our effort to inform voters, questions were submitted from the community through our law, economy, and separation design teams. Of the 4 candidates, 3 chose to submit written responses to the community-focused questions, while 1, the current district attorney, decided not to respond. Their written responses were published in the Selma Sun newspaper, with the responses from the sheriff candidates, both our current Sheriff Grantham and candidate Donald Shepard, being published last week in the Selma Sun. Of the 3 who chose to submit the written responses, we have had 2 commit to facing you, the voters, and responding to a series of tough, community-focused questions live right here. We encourage you and invite you to like and share this video. Our candidate featured this hour is running to become the Sheriff of Dallas County. His name is Mr. Donald Shepard. Our moderator for this dynamic conversation is none other than Mr. Eric Nettles. We appreciate both of you gentlemen for joining us this evening and being a part of this opportunity to share facts and information with the voters in our community. If you, the viewer, have any questions, you are invited to submit them in the comment box. Your question may just be selected to be asked of the candidate. Again, we welcome you to Candidate Forum 2022. Mr. Nettles, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chapman, and welcome Mr. Donald Shepard to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Been a good day.
It's been a good day. Okay.
Doing a little campaigning, but it's been a good day.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump right into
some
questions for you, and we're gonna have us a good time today, so we could answer some of the questions that the citizens have submitted in. The first question is, because a lot of people don't even understand government and how does it work. Mm-hmm. What does the sheriff do?
Well, the sheriff has numerous responsibilities. Public safety, of course, but the sheriff is also in charge of the jail, and that's maintaining the people that are detained out there while they are either serving a misdemeanor sentence or awaiting trial to go to court. The sheriff is also responsible for the serving of silver papers. He's also responsible for court security. He's responsible for election securities. And overall, just being a servant to the people. Being out in the community, meeting the people's needs, fighting crime, of course, but working with our community and citizens as a whole, as partners, to deter and come up with ideas that betters our community, and having the stakeholders involved, so we all have a part in our society and what's going on in our community. But that's just a brief. Sheriff does a lot of things, but that's a brief overview of some things that I hope the people can understand.
Okay, that said, Mr. Shepard, why did you choose a career in law enforcement?
And every law enforcement officer get that question, and and typically a lot of people respond with, well, it's a calling. And sometimes people say, oh, well, they all say that, but it truly is. You any law enforcement officer, when you first start out, you really have to have a calling and a love for the people. You have to have a love for your community. You can't be self-serving.
Absolutely.
Whenever you step off in law enforcement.
Yes.
You're constantly serving the people. You have to be a family man. You have to be concerned about others, and you also have to be concerned about others' ideas. It can't just be what you say.
Yes. Yes.
And you also understand that in this career that law enforcement officers and myself have chosen, that it is a dangerous field. You're faced with many things on both sides of the spectacle. So you have to really have a passion for the people you serve.
Absolutely.
And you so yes, it really is a calling. It's I often say it's just like in the Bible. It's a spiritual calling. Everybody, law enforcement is not for everybody. And those that do serve in law enforcement, I take my hats off and I applaud all of our law enforcement officers out there.
I do the same as well, yes, sir. I do the same as well. Mr. Shepard, how can the opinions and the perspectives of a sheriff impact justice in our community?
Well, the sheriff is a highly respected position. And the person in that position has to be a highly respected person.
Absolutely.
And you earn respect. You don't demand it, but you earn it. And that position can impact the community because, I can think back coming up, my parents, they would say the high sheriff. And
absolutely.
The high sheriff was that man or that guy in the community that people could go talk to. The sheriff would come see about you. And people just respected the sheriff.
Absolutely.
It's like a pastor. When you're leading and you're exemplating qualities that number one of a man, and qualities of a godly man, and you're leading in your community, people will listen to you. When you earn their respect and you earn their trust.
Key.
For a few years earlier in my career, I was an investigator within our agency in the Alabama Bureau of Investigation.
Okay.
And the crimes that we solved, it wasn't because we were just so good that we solved these crimes. It was because we had developed a relationship with the community, and you develop trust with people. The sheriff can influence things by his presentation, by his people having trust, and people respecting the sheriff. And when you have a sheriff that's concerned about the community, you're looking for ideas. You're looking for, and you have to be open-minded, and you have to realize that that you have to bring other people to the table as well. So yeah, that's that, man. I'm telling you, I'll get talking and going on.
No, I mean, this is a platform. This is what we want to hear from the candidates that are running for office. This is very important to the community. Yes. So, you are really being transparent right now, which I appreciate. And it's good. It's a good thing that you chose to come on this platform to really share, if elected, what you would do for your city. I'm going to pivot a little bit, and the questions may get a little, tough for you, but I mean, this is what the forum is for. Right. So if a member of your family is accused of a crime, how would you prepare to move forward with their arrest?
Well, that's a good question, and that is a tough question. Family is family, but that's where that integrity comes into play.
Absolutely.
Integrity means doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching. And there are ways that you could handle it, but at the end of the day, we have to do the right thing. Um, Oftentimes, sometimes we have to approach situations differently. There's a time when you have to go full regalia, but there are some times where you can talk to people, get on the same level. People when things go on, people have a different level of response. Um, as far as one of my family, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have family members since I've been these last 26 years in law enforcement. I've had family members that have gotten in a little trouble. And we were able to handle it the right way. And to be honest with you, the first person they called me, and they want to know how should we handle this. Um, you know, if it's me having to deal with it personally, yes, I think I could call my family and say, hey, let's work this out. Let's do this the right way. How we was brought up. We know right from wrong. We know how to do this. If it's in a different agency or a different jurisdiction, that's where I could step in and say, hey, you know what? You have to stand accountable for what you've done. But let me reach out to the agency that you're dealing with, and let's make this transition as peaceful and as possible. Because at the end of the day, we want to respect the law. We want to respect our law enforcement officers, but we do have it's still your family. So let's all get together and do this the right way without it being blown out of proportion.
Absolutely. Yes.
And that's how I would handle that situation.
Awesome. Mr. Shepard. That being said, I want you to share with me what are the three types of crimes you understand as making the most impact on our community, and how do you plan to address these areas? I'm going to ask that again because I kind of fumbled a little bit. What are the top three types of crimes you understand as making the most impact on our community, and how do you plan to address those areas?
Well, right now in our community, we have a lot of gun violence, and that's one thing and the reason I said that first, because gun violence is taking a lot of our innocent kids, or taking a lot of our citizens away. Regardless of how or what transpired, the gun violence is really taking a bad toll on the city,
Yes,
and leaving a bad eye on our community. But we have to get to the root cause. We don't have a gun manufacturing plant here in Selma, so these weapons have to be coming into our community. The average citizen that wants to go buy a gun and legally purchase a gun, they're purchasing weapons for their defense, and their weapons most time are at home, or they legally carrying their weapons. These guns that are hurting our community are illegally coming into our community. So we have to get to the root cause of where these weapons are coming from. There again, that's when we'll have to reach out to our other partners. As the sheriff, I feel that the city of Selma has a police department. In Dallas County, the sheriff department and the city of Selma are established, and of course the DAs and investigators are our established law enforcement here. we have to come together and figure out together where these guns are coming from. We have to put boots on the ground, building trust and relationships in the community. Because when you have trust, people will share things with you. Now
Absolutely,
they may not want you to, they may not want people to know who told it.
Yes,
but if they share the information, it's up to us to follow up on the information and capitalize off the information that's been given to us. And then once we figure out these guns, because these guns are coming in from Selma, like I said, we don't have a manufacturing plant here. So that means they're coming into our community. Most likely they're coming across state lines. So now you get into federal regulations. So that's when we reach out to our federal partners and see if we can have that communication and connection with them, that when we make the local gun cases, we can also team up with our federal partners to address those issues. The second thing I think is drugs. And same thing, drugs are coming into our community. Drug trafficking it's bigger than what people think.
Yes, it is.
And
that's a lot of factual statement, sir.
Yes, yes. and you have a major thoroughfare that comes through Selma, Highway 80. Don't know for a fact, but I can imagine, and I know over the years that thoroughfare transports drugs across, and it's come through Selma. Some of it stopping here. We have to put boots on the ground, surveillance, identifying these drug dealers, and getting these drugs off the streets. Drugs is harming us. It's destroying our communities. Both of those are tied into.
They are. Yes.
When you have drugs, then you have gun crimes, and you have guns on the streets to protect some of the drugs. So, but we can't do it alone.
We can't.
The sheriff just can't. It's just can't say, well, the sheriff is responsible for making sure we stop these drugs. We have to have buy-in from all of our law enforcement partners, and especially the community. The community, we all live in the community. So, I don't like the statement say, well, it's your community. No, we all live here. It's all of our community.
Our community.
But we have to play a part. Yes. Everybody has to put in their little piece into helping to solve the problem. And the third thing, I think that that is becoming a big problem, especially on a national level, is human trafficking. There have been a lot of cases of human trafficking, and it's starting to even come into our area. There again, that main thoroughfare, people are coming through. People have been kidnapped, made to do things that they don't want to do. We have to start implementing the training for our citizens and our officers to recognize some of this stuff. So those are the three things that I think that are affecting our community in that order.
In that order.
And I guess you could kind of say the drugs and the gun crime could be a close tie.
Yes.
But the reason I put it in that order, because the guns are killing our people, and we're losing too many citizens and loved ones, and when we lose someone, it just doesn't affect that particular family. It affects the entire community, because our community, everybody in this community know somebody in this community. I said earlier today, I was talking about my kids. Well, I had to correct myself, because my young ladies now, because my young ladies have graduated college or getting ready to graduate college. So my young ladies now, but my kids went to Selma High School. My young ladies, one of my daughters went to Dallas County High School. I have a vested interest in this community. I go to church here. I'm a deacon at my church here. I live here. I ride these streets every day. So, um, we go out into the community, to the ballparks. We go out to the stores. Um, I don't want my community to be a victim of gun crime
Mm-hmm.
just because you're walking in Walmart or you just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
Or even with our young kids, nothing says that people can't go out and responsibly enjoy themselves on the weekend.
Yes.
That's their choice, but it shouldn't be a fear of going out having a nice time, but also having a fear that, oh man, is there a possibility I might get shot tonight just because I'm out having a good time responsibly. So yes, in that order, those are the three things that I feel is affecting our community.
Thank you so much for those answers, Mr. Shepard. What are you committed to do beyond arresting those accused of crimes to help divert our area residents from criminal activities?
It's another good question, and one thing that I have been pushing in my platform, and I mentioned it earlier. Some people may agree, some people may disagree, but I feel this could work. I would like to see GED programs and trade programs implemented into our jail. My philosophy is, you have a guy that's out there in the detention center, um, and if he's been out there for a period of time, if you don't have a GED, why can't we get him a GED? Why can't we lead him in the right path? Why can't we encourage them to get a trade? I gave an analogy earlier today. Here in Selma, Alabama, if you take a young man or a guy, whoever that's out in the streets hustling, what's the average? He may be making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. Maybe on that's probably a high assumption.
Mm-hmm.
But we get the point that they're out here. Somebody's out here hustling, making money. If we gave them an opportunity to get a trade, CDL, welding, now that same person can take that trade and make an honest living.
Mm-hmm. And turn his life around.
Turn his life around.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He could support his family. He'd have benefits,
Mm-hmm.
retirement, and then we won't have a revolving door at the jail.
Mm-hmm.
We have exit doors. Now, am I naive or believe that that's going to work for everybody? No, I know. But if we can get and save one person, if we can save two people,
absolutely,
we've saved somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It goes deeper than that. I would like to see. I would like to make sure that we have counselors, mental health counselors in the jail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would like to see the clergy, in our jails. Spiritual relief is very important. I believe in conflict resolution, de-escalation. We have to learn how to talk to each other. Community meetings. Now as the sheriff, no, I can't be at every meeting every day, but as the sheriff, we can lead the way. We can invite the community to meetings. When I started this thing, I said we are one, and I don't want people to take that as a misconception or take that the wrong way. But when I say we are one, I mean we are one community.
Yes.
We're not the county, we're not the city. We are one community.
Absolutely.
Everybody, what affects one affects all.
Mm-hmm.
When Selma and Dallas County looks good, all of us looks good.
Mm-hmm.
But when something negatively happens in Selma and Dallas County, all of us, it reflects on all of us. I can recall working sometimes when back in Montgomery and people know I'm from Selma, they would say, "Oh man, you know, such and such happened down in Selma." Well, no matter where it happened at in the county, people gonna say this happened in Selma.
Yes.
Well, my thing is, Dallas County, Selma community, let's change that narrative. Let's start pulling together and start when we go out of town, people are saying, "Oh man, I hear about the great things that are going on in Selma." You know, I want people to say, "Hey, Sheriff Shepard, I see the great things that the sheriff department, police department working together and working on issues in the community. We see the great things that are happening in Selma." So those are the things that I would, uh, as you can see, I'm passionate about that stuff. I really am.
Yes.
I really, you know, I've been in law enforcement 26 years. So, uh, you know, as you grow, you gain wisdom. It's not about, I don't have to prove, oh, I'm a tough guy. You know, people know I'm a law enforcement officer. I worked with the Selma Police Department 6.5 years. I've been with state troopers now 20 years, 26 years. I'm a lieutenant. God has blessed me to progress in my career. So now in the position as the sheriff, I can continue to give back to my community from a different capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just thinking while you were talking, Mr. Shepard, how would you handle corruption within your organization if you were to find out that there was corruption in your organization? How would you handle it?
That again, that goes back to that integrity, um, and people have to be accountable. Um, we would we would we would hold that individual or individuals accountable for what they done. But there again, now I'm also like this. I believe in being fair. Um, I'm not just going to jump the gun without the facts.
Hmm.
Now we have the facts, and we've determined that this is a fact. Then we're going to deal with it accordingly. We're going to do the same thing that we expect from our citizens, but we also want to give our law enforcement officers the same, you know, same thing that we would give our citizens to prove their innocence if they are innocent. But now, if there is corruption, we're going to deal with it. We're not going to have it because it's a bad reflection on the department. It destroys the trust. It destroys the respect in the community, and we are going to be transparent. I don't believe in keeping things from the community, but I do believe there's a right place and time for everything. You know, and when you build trust with your community, and when your community trusts that you're going to do the right thing, then they will allow you to 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 do your investigation. Because when someone comes to me and say, hey sheriff, this guy's corrupt, okay, let's get these facts lined up. If this is true, and then we're going to have to deal with it. We're not going to, you know, we're not going to sugarcoat it or hide or sweep it under the rug. And anybody that knows Donald Shepard knows that it's been like that for years. Um, but there again, people that know Donald Shepard also know that I've had some great mentors over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my mentors have taught me about that integrity, have taught me to not do the wrong thing, to stay away from the corruption. So that goes back to the leader as well. When we're training our younger officers, when we're training our personnel, when we're updating them on current laws, when we're evaluating what's going on in our department, we are watching for those type of things. Now, I'm not saying that something may slip in on you, but
Okay.
as a manager, we should be watching and maintaining and monitoring situations like that. We should have supervisors and people up under us delegated in a place to do their jobs and to pick up on stuff like that. Um, so corruption would not be tolerated. Um, that's in any form, and no matter who you ask, any law enforcement leader, that you ask sheriff, police chief, on the state level. Nobody wants corruption in their agency. Nobody wants corruption in their department. So if it presents its ugly self, then we're going to deal with it appropriately.
That's the right answer, Mr. Shepard. When I think about just the temperature of the world today, studies have proven that white and black people use and sell drugs all about the same rate, and yet black people are more likely to be arrested and prosecuted for selling and possessing drugs. How will they be prosecuted for selling and possessing drugs, and how will you ensure that black and poor communities are not policed and prosecuted?
Well, my thing is we have to be fair across the board. We can't police in one community and not police in the other community.
That's right.
We have to be down the middle because, as we said earlier, one of the three things we spoke about is drugs in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And if drugs in our community, we just can't overlook one side and not look at. Remember I said we are one.
We are one. Yes.
So
yes.
my philosophy is that we're going to address issues the same. We're not going to do one different than the other because drugs are affecting all of us, and it's affecting all of us in a negative way. So we're going to be fair. I'm all about fairness. I'm all about, I think about years ago when I was a patrol or highway patrolman, trooper. I don't feel. I was a field training officer. And one of the things that I would tell the troopers that I was training is when we're out here patrolling these roads, we're not going to just enforce one side of the county. We're not going to always work in one particular area or one particular community. My philosophy was we're going to spread the love.
Yes.
So even with this question that you just asked me, drugs is a problem. So we're going to spread the love. We're going to spread it everywhere, and we're going to enforce. We want these drugs out of our community.
Yes, we do.
We're going to work diligently with our partners in our community, no matter what community you live in. Because if you live in the community and there are drugs in your community, you have a right to live peacefully in your community.
Yes.
So we can't neglect one community for the other, or just focus on one area, because we have to be fair. So we're doing two things. We're being fair, but we're also taking care of our communities and our citizens and our elderly who wants to sit on the porch in the evening time and be able to rock in their rocking chairs and watch the sun go down and enjoy themselves. So to answer that question, we're under a Shepard administration. We're going to be fair. You're
going to be fair.
We're going
and with that being said, I mean, you can't get a better answer than being fair across the board. Doesn't matter, your ethnicity or whatever. Right. If you're poor, if you're rich, you're going to all be treated the same. You're going to all be treated the same. One thought came to my mind. What policies, practices, trainings are you going to have in place, if elected, for officers to effectively communicate with the residents in your community?
Well, I strongly believe in community police. I want our deputies out there when they're not, the citizens shouldn't see the deputies only when they're responding to a call. The citizens should see the deputies periodically. The deputies should develop a relationship with the citizens. The relationship should be so strong that if I was to come back and say, hey, Deputy John Doe did such and such, that should be a citizen somewhere said, no, he didn't do that. That's my deputy. I know him. I know what type of guy. He comes by here. He checks on us. He's in our community. We want our deputies being involved with our businesses, stopping in and checking on our businesses during operational hours and checking on our business after operational hours. On Sundays, when our citizens are out worshiping, what's wrong with our deputies stopping by the church and checking in on the congregation? Or what's wrong if there's nothing going on? What's wrong with our deputies stopping in and enjoying the service? That builds that relationship. And you're from Alabama, correct?
I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, born and raised.
Well, during the fall, on Friday nights, in any typical Alabama town, what do you have going on? You have high school football.
High school football.
Everybody
during football season, though.
During football season, correct. Or during basketball season, you have high school basketball. Everybody loves a good football game. Everybody loves a good basketball game.
Yes.
Well, when our deputies are not out patrolling, this is time that they can go and stop at these ball games and interact with our citizens. Be seen in the community. We don't want our community feeling that it's us against them. Law enforcement is a part of the community as well.
Yes.
We don't want the community, or don't want law enforcement feeling like the community don't want us there, because we all need each other. It's in the Bible. You have to have someone to carry out the laws of the land.
Yes.
I'm a digging in the church, but I won't quote the scripture. I'll tell you.
I get it, man. I get it. Come on, bring it.
but we have to, we have to realize that law enforcement also, we have a job to do, and that's uphold the law. And we ask our citizens to respect the law. But when there are no issues going on, there should be no tension between the two. If there's an issue that we have to deal with because a violation of the law has been committed, that's different. But when we're just in the community, riding in the community, or we're out and about, the citizens shouldn't feel, or the police shouldn't feel, I don't want to be around. We should feel comfortable with each other. That's what we need to get to. Respecting each other, respecting law enforcement's authority, but not misusing or taking advantage of the authority that we have. Respect goes both ways, and as citizens and law enforcement officers, we once we do that, once we're involved, and once we feel comfortable with each other, and as the sheriff, you can create policies and procedures to dictate that. You can say, hey, when you're not answering calls, I want you out in these areas. I want the people seeing you. I want you to stop at these mom and pop stores. I want you to engage the citizens in the community. Stop by the softball game during the summertime or whatever, but build that relationship and that trust. Because when you do, when something does happen, who are they going to call? They're going to call who they trust, who they talk to all the time.
Okay, well, if elected, Mr. Shepard, what are you going to do to gain the trust of the community? Because just the temperature of the world, most citizens don't trust the police because of what we see on social media, on television. What are you going to do for Dallas County to make a change for your community, to where the citizens will begin to trust law enforcement?
Well, I'm going to continue to do a lot of the things that I've been doing thus far, and that's being what people, or how people know me as Shep. I sing in the male chorus. I'm out in the community, not just from a law enforcement perspective, but just out. I served in the military for 12 years, the local National Guard unit here. So I know a lot of people from there. I know a lot of people, my family, my wife, my children, my in-laws. I'm a down-to-earth person, and being down to earth, when people see that you're not uppity, or you don't always have that, when people know you're approachable, and that they can talk to you, and
Absolutely.
that they feel comfortable with you, and you don't carry. I don't pretend to be something or to be someone else. Yes, I'm a law enforcement officer. Yes, I serve in a law enforcement capacity, but I'm still Shep. I'm still
You're
that.
still Shep.
I'm
Okay.
that guy that you can talk to. I'm the guy that you see at Walmart. I'm the same guy that you see in the fast food restaurants. I'm the same guy that you see at Laney's Barbecue. Same guy that you see jogging around town sometimes. I'm the same guy that you see at church. The same guy that the same guy that's in the fraternity. Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm that same guy in the community. So taking that same mentality to the sheriff department, I believe, would be a major plus, because people. I don't want people to feel like and I'm not going to present. Oh, I'm not. I'm just going to come out here and I'm going to. No, I want people to really know that, hey, you know what? If I have an issue, I can go talk to Shep. And one thing about Shep, if he can help me, he's going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't do it, he's going to let me know. No, we can't do that. But
Mm-hmm.
let's see if we can find a solution, or the best solution that we can to try to help you out. But that's how I am. I think the things that I've always been doing, I just don't think I should change because of a position. Um,
Yes.
Keep being yourself. I've been blessed over the years. Like I said earlier, God has blessed me to move up in rank, where I'm at now.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Mm-hmm.
I hold a position as a lieutenant region commander with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. So the position shouldn't make the person. The person should make the position. It's not about holding titles or saying, "Hey, I'm the sheriff," and walk around with your chest out. But it's truly about having a compassion and a desire for your community, and being able to associate and socialize with anybody in the community,
Yes, sir.
black, white, whatever. I think if you walk around Dallas County and people really be honest with you and tell you, and you say, "Hey, Shep, black or white," they're gonna say, "Yeah, I know Shep. He's a good guy." So that's what I
Well,
want to say to sheriff department.
yeah, that speaks volumes, Mr. Shepard. But do you believe law enforcement leaders understand their officers' treatment of community residents, and how might this lack of understanding, contribute to street justice and retaliation?
Yeah, so we have to. We're getting it, and some are starting to get it, but that's when a lot of the training comes into place. Uh, we will implement training because times have changed.
They have changed.
People are not the same as they were 20 years ago, and you can't police the same that you did 20 years ago. So you have to be willing to adjust. Any good leader wants to be a successful leader.
Mm-hmm.
Any good leader, has the ability to lead, but also has the wisdom to listen
Mm-hmm.
and understand. Um, Leadership in law enforcement overall, I think nobody wants to do well. How can I say this? Most people in law enforcement want to do the right thing.
Yes.
Most
Yeah.
leaders in law enforcement wants the best for their officers, their department and the citizens. Even when you have to arrest somebody, most people want to make sure that it's done correctly, um, and decent and in order. Now, the reality is sometimes that don't happen.
It don't happen that way. Right.
And we know that, but we also have to be big enough to understand that when something is inappropriate, we have to own it. But the citizens also have to be big enough to understand that, you know, just because you see a tussle between law enforcement and someone they're trying to arrest, that don't mean the law enforcement officer is always wrong. Let's start getting to the bottom of things before we jump to conclusions on both sides. Do your job, take action, and then we can come back and regroup if it was done inappropriately. So yes, I think our leaders, as you move up in the department, especially in the agency that I'm in now, you learn quick that as a leader, it goes from, it's a different style. You're not the foot soldier anymore, but now you're responsible for your people, and you also have that thing called vicarious liability.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So we have to protect. You have to protect the agency. You have to protect your people, and you also have to protect the citizens.
Yes, yes.
And that's where implementing that and putting the right people in place, the right leaders in place within your department, building that team, that strong team that has the management skills, the supervisor skills, to recognize and address issues that may arise. So we're most people, most of our leaders in law enforcement understand that we have to do the right thing, and a lot of our leaders and most of our leaders will address issues as they come about. But then again, those that don't, then we have to deal with them appropriately.
Deal with them appropriately. One thing I've noticed during this interview, Mr. Shepard, you appear to be very transparent.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask you was, if elected as sheriff of Dallas County, what would be the top 3 changes that you will make if elected sheriff of Dallas County?
Well, and I'm not trying to address anything else, but one thing that I would change. I'm an old military guy, and trooper, and I believe in professional appearance. I believe in courtesy and protection. I believe in carrying yourself in a certain way. The appearance of one of the things that the appearance of our deputies goes a long way in the community. People perceive you a certain way.
Absolutely.
And when your uniform is squared away, when you are confident, but there again fair.
Yes.
People respect that, and people understand that, and that's one thing that I would address. Another thing that I would address is I would want to do an assessment at our jail, so we can look at what our strengths and weaknesses are at the jail. Things that are going good, then we want to build on those things. Things where we're weak, we want to address them and start changing them. Do we have the policies? I mean, there was a movie came out with Denzel Washington, it's been a couple years ago now, called The Little Things. That movie was, the title of that movie is so true. It's the little things that we have to look at before they become the big things.
Absolutely.
If we
That's
keep
a fact.
letting the little things slip by,
Mm-hmm.
or if we don't address some of the little things, they could blow up into bigger things that could cause us a headache later on down the road. So, looking at our jail, we want to make sure that we have mental health counseling. We want to make sure that we have medical personnel. We want to make sure that we have spiritual guidance. We want to make sure that our correction officers, deputies, even our dispatch fall under the sheriff's department. We want to make sure that our dispatch, our court security, we want to make sure that constantly training. So I would like to implement training
Very important. Very important.
to those. Well, I believe better training, better trust.
Yes.
When you're trained appropriately and the citizens know you're trained appropriately, then the citizens are going to trust you more. Uh, and the third thing, that I would like to implement is making sure that we have that strong community partnership. Like I said, I'm big on community policing. You know, even as a trooper, when I was out on the road, I've been fortunate to work rural counties. And the reason why I say fortunate because you get the opportunity to engage with a lot of people.
Yes.
You're not as busy catching as many wrecks, so you do have the opportunity to meet your local citizens. And here in Selma, at the post I was at prior to this assignment, um, we covered 5 counties, and those 5 counties were 5 rural counties. Well,
Mm-hmm.
throughout my career, I made it my business to be involved in all those counties. So the sheriffs and police chiefs and police officers and deputies in the counties that we serve, um, if you went to Hale County now and you spoke to the sheriff over there and you said, hey, Shep? What I tell you earlier, yeah, I know Shep. If you go to Sumter County and you bring up, yeah, I know Shep. But that's that partnership. Um, and when you can go in the community and you have people walk up to you and tell you, hey man, I appreciate what you did or how you treated me. And then you say, okay, thank you. But then you think to yourself, I don't remember this guy. But they remember how you
Mm-hmm.
treated them. And that's why
Absolutely.
it's very important to treat people fair and treat people right. Um, and people won't forget it, even if it slip your mind. Sometimes I'll be reminded, yeah, I remember that. But people don't forget how you treat them.
They
Whether it's
do
good or
not.
bad, people don't remember how you treat them. So those 3 things are the things that I would like to see. Coming into office. Those are things that we can work on. Like I said, the little things that we can address, the little things that we can make sure that we're doing right, the little things that we can do to make sure that we're satisfying the people that work for the
Mm-hmm.
sheriff department and also the citizens. You have to take care of your people on both sides. You can't put one focus on one thing and neglect the other. It has to be a balance. And
Absolutely.
as the leader, you have to find that balance and know that, hey, the people that work for me trust and know that I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to take care of them. But our citizens also have to trust and know that I'm going to do the right thing when it involves them. And that all revolves around to that word you just used called transparency.
Transparency is the key word. And I was always brought up, you lead by example. And since you and I started, this interview, it seems like that has been your entire career. You have always led by example. But I have one last question for you before this forum ends. It's simply, what commitments are you willing to make on your role in serving our community, regardless of the election outcome?
The screen froze up on. Could you ask me that question one more time?
Okay, what commitments are you willing to make on your role in serving our community regardless of the election outcome?
Well, one commitment I want to make is to try to be that positive role model for our citizens, and especially our younger citizens. Still serving in this law enforcement capacity. People still see Shep out in the community. Sheriff Shepard. Some people have already started calling me Sheriff Shepard, but they see Shep in the community. And my commitment is to continue to be that same guy that I've been all these years. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. If I can, I'm going to tell you, I can't. But like I said, we're gonna try to find the best solution for you. Interacting with our youth, leading people in the right direction, being involved in my church, involved in the male course now. I keep saying I sing in the male course. I lead one song at church. Now people tell me it sounds pretty good. I don't know. You'd have to judge that for yourself. But that's part of when people see that, because like I say, this community, people know who you are and people know that you're in law enforcement. So when they see our law enforcement officers doing the right thing, or when they see me doing the right thing, I can give you an example to wrap it up. There's a young man that is currently employed with the Selma Police Department, and we had a conversation after he was, after he became employed, and we had a conversation, and this young man reminded me. He said that I remember when you came to talk to our kindergarten class in your uniform, because this young man and my daughter classmates. My daughter is 22 years old now, so that's been several years ago. But as a kindergarten student, that impact that it left on that young man, what he saw in me, or something that I said, or maybe it was just the appearance in the uniform, or whatever it is, it inspired him to go on to fulfill his dream, and I'm very proud of him because now he's a law enforcement officer today, and that means a lot, and that tells me, my girls they cheered in high school. And when some of the parents will walk up to you and say, "Hey, we feel good because the cheer dad is here tonight," that goes a long way. And those are things that I continue. That's the commitment that I'm going to continue to make is to encourage people to do the right thing, to always want the best for our community, for our community to shine, for the residents of Dallas County, Selma, Oval, Valley Grande, Sardis, Boat Chip, all of these areas, all of these communities here in Dallas County. I want to represent them. And if there's anything that I could do to encourage or promote Selma, Dallas County, and that's my commitment. That's what I'm going to continue to do.
Well, Mr. Shepard, it has been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon. I mean, I must say, I have to remind you, you made such an impact on that young man. When he saw you, he saw himself in you. That's why he chose to become a law enforcement officer. And that goes back to leading by example.
That's right.
I want to commend you for the job that you have done in serving our community. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts, if elected the sheriff, what you plan to do for the community of Dallas County. Thank you again for joining us, and you make it a great evening, sir.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, take care.
Yes, sir.